Good morning, guys. How's it going? Got Bates, Blackwater. Forget about it. I think that's Hindu. I can't read or say that. Nominus, Samwise, Noah. How are you guys doing? DP, Mr. Fuchsius. All right, cool. Well, Bitcoin's at an all-time high and just chilling there. We had like a normal reaction to it here, which we kind of anticipated. You know, when 100% of people are in a profit, some of them are bound to take some gains. And we fell down to we had a buy wall following this trend line in the order books, and we fell down to it, got a really sharp recovery, and here we are. This blue dotted line you're seeing on my screen right here is the previous all-time high from back in January. But yeah, now we are consolidating above the zone. We just lost momentum around like 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m.-ish, and now we're consolidating right above like the 15-minute strong low. Like we might have taken that actually with this wick. No, 5 minutes, sorry. 5-minute strong low. The 15 minutes right here. Yeah, right about here. But yeah, we're just consolidating right now. We are breaking internally off of this double bottom neckline here, which could give us a rotation back up to the new all-time high from here to here, where we could end up becoming range bound for a brief period of time before we have that continuation. But we know how Bitcoin likes to be. When we get that break of structure for that higher high, sometimes it just wants to run immediately after that rather than rest and cool down before going up. But yeah, right now, as it stands, it looks like we're just going to get that rotation back up to the local highs. After this break, we got the VWAP on our back right now. So we got a short-term bullish move to this moment here. So watch, if you're in on any longs, this is going to be an area of concern. You watch this to see if we end up getting an opposing change of character that could find us to come back down to this local range low. We could pull a fixed range from here to here to help us with our bias. You probably would likely have to use the 5-minute time frame because of the age of this structure to prepare for any opposing changes of character at this value area high, potential short-term shorts. If we break this low, then we can get that continuation down further with a double top structure. But our key area that we need to break to maintain a downtrend is this level right here at 109,839. It's our 15-minute strong low. But yeah, there's not really much you could do in terms of TA once you're in price discovery. When you look around, there's nothing anymore to our left other than support levels. And if you don't have them memorized by now, basically you're just looking at your previous resistance like this and seeing if they act as a form of support. Obviously, just like anything, like an order block or a fib level, you want to make sure you see the price action honored as support with an opposing change of character or any kind of reversal structure. But along the way up, the main thing you have to watch out for is psychological levels. And that's pretty much where any rounded numbers might be. So like 12,000, 13,000, or 12,500. And to validate those levels, in price discovery, the order books become far more important to watch, because that's going to help you a lot in finding out where resistance is likely going to occur. And right now, if we pull up the order books, I got about 500 tabs to take down first, but see right here. we don't really have much confidence in resistance until about 11,000. Sorry, 111,870. So we got to mark 870. So right here, we have sellers like right at the top. So we already have a sell wall waiting at our previous highs for the amount of, how much Bitcoin was that? That was a total of about like 200. Not very much. So it's a low impacting sell wall. It might be impacting enough during low volume to keep us down, but this is relatively low impacting. Like a high impacting sell or buy wall would be around like 1,000 Bitcoin, and I would consider like 500 or less relatively low impacting. So it would only take maybe 1 or 2 taps to go through like 200, probably about 1 tap, and you got the whole thing fully mitigated. If it was like 1,000, it takes like 1 to like potentially 3. It all depends on the volume. And if the volume's low, then 200 can do quite a bit. Well, yeah, that is pretty much it for Bitcoin. We're just in a wait. We got that break off that local POC where we hit the value area high. Some people might have already exited just by hitting that value area high as your primary target. What I would like to see is that full rotation up. Maybe hit that sell wall. You get an opposing change of character and maintain this range for something, so we can actually get a trade in. If you're not in on a trend bound trade right now, and you're probably not in on anything, we had a decent short opportunity over here on the 15-minute. It's just a local liquidity sweep right here that drove us down to this uptrending point of interest. That uptrending point of interest right now has been holding it up since 102,000. So you'd want to watch this as we get closer to this trend line to see if there are buy orders waiting there, to see if that trend line is still valid. We've got walls starting to form right now on Bitcoin at 110,330. So 110,330. So right at the local low right here. So we have a buy wall here and a sell wall here. So it looks like market makers are trying to compress the price inside this valley area here. So it does look like there's evidence already on the order books that we're trying to go range bound, even though we haven't really technically confirmed it. We just got our first, low time frame, like 5-minute break, change of character occurrence. We broke down turning momentum here. So now we're kind of like expecting that rotation up to where that sell wall is. So we're getting squeezed between these two walls right now. But yeah, most of the stuff that you're going to be doing until we have more of a developed range is likely on the 5-minute chart. Like the 15-minute is just too compressed. By the time you get a confirmation, it's going to be too late for you to be able to jump in. The R&R is not really going to be worth it. So in a scenario like this, you're kind of forced into like a lower time frame if you're trying to get something with decent R&R within this range. The range itself is only 0.7%. It's a pretty small range. Okay. So now that we got over Bitcoin and what we're kind of preparing for, we want that rotation up. We want that opposing change of character, acceptance into the value area, and then short to the value area low. We know we have a buy wall here to be worried about if we short. If we're longing, if we come down here instead and we get that internal like a change of character here, then we know that there's a sell wall here that could limit us from going any further, but we know it's a weak one, right? It's only 200 Bitcoin. So it should only take us about one tap before breaking through it, especially when volume picks up in about an hour and a half. Like right now, we're kind of like pre-market open, so we shouldn't expect very much volume right now. All right, so it's just a waiting game. Where do you guys want me to look at? We can look at any asset you guys like to help you prepare for your day with whatever things you're trading right now. We can take a look at, let's see. I usually go down my list on my normal day, so I'll go through Chainlink really quick. It looks like we got the awkward bullish reaction on Chainlink. We were talking about how we want to have acceptance from this valley area to this valley area with a breakage structure. Now we came down and we dipped pretty low to basically the equilibrium point of this valley area, which is if you get a fib from the valley area high to the valley area low and you adjust your settings, this is your equilibrium point right here, which is a common area that's tapped before leaving a range. Like, it's insanely common. There's strategies that are literally built off of trying to get on that tap. We are, let's see, we got this uptrending momentum. We got above the previous POC right here. What seems bearish about this momentum, it's relatively steep, so the chances of it being maintained is pretty low. So this is our current area of interest on the hourly right here. We can zoom in on the 15-minute for this. So we have a tweezer top reaction here. This is our unclaimed high. This is our current strong low. Our strong low is flush with the POC. So we have a reason to prepare for that strong low to still be honored. But if we lose momentum, what's extremely common, very, very, very common, so we'll bounce usually prior to the strong low zone, retest the momentum, and then give us a break of structure while giving us a change of character, simultaneously confirming like a head and shoulders pattern. If you ever look at momentum, I'd recommend backtesting that, like looking back in the past and seeing how many times we lose uptrending momentum like this, and then it confirms into a head and shoulders. It's extremely likely. If we maintain that momentum, then man, we might just rush our way to the valley area high, and the momentum would tell us that we'll get there in about 8 hours. So that's Chainlink. So I'll be preparing for the potential bearish case scenario, unless we somehow maintain this momentum. But the confirmation will come from the break of the point of control and the strong low right here. And that'll start targeting the valley area, the previous valley area high and the active valley area low. Litecoin, let's look at Litecoin, see what's going on there. So last time we looked at Litecoin, our big key area of interest was way down here. We didn't really manage to break through it properly. And now we are way up here retesting the downtrending momentum. Where did this momentum come from? Let's zoom out. So this momentum came from when we were at $106. Delete that. Let's adjust this. know the candles look a little weird on Litecoin. Just showing someone vector candles, how to put them on, and now it kind of looks like Christmas lights with all the wick colors and stuff. But yeah, we're against that downtrending momentum. We could see that we have traders responding to it. There's likely a sell wall following this trend line. So a market maker suppressing the price down. So until that sell wall is lifted, keep an eye out on the order books and prepare for this to be maintained as resistance. We have this uptrending momentum here, suggesting that we might be range bound until that momentum is lost. We got about 11 hours left before we reach that level again. We already got a bounce roughly around this neckline. We broke the neckline here. It wasn't a change of character occurrence. Like the change of character occurrence is over here because we didn't get the higher high. So this is still our unclaimed high. If we grabbed that, then broke this level, that would be a change of character occurrence. So this ended up being an inducement for liquidity for a pump. So there's liquidity that was resting down below here, and we got a tweezer reaction off of it, which is pretty bullish, especially off a key zone like this. So we may actually get that full rotation up, just like Bitcoin, where we're kind of counting on it to get that full rotation up to its value area high. And Litecoin has a lot of Bitcoin pairing liquidity. So when Litecoin doesn't have any relative strength through like a narrative or any news or anything like that, then it's usually following what Bitcoin's doing, especially when it's range bound. But it is behind, right? So Bitcoin's already almost at its value area high target, whereas Litecoin is just starting off about halfway through. So it does have some relative weakness right now, just like most altcoins are having some relative weakness right now. What's Bitcoin dominance at right now? So Bitcoin dominance right now is at 64.05. Let me zoom out on that really quick. So yeah, this is a huge area of concern right here. This giant red zone from historical structure. So it's basically a supply risk. If you were to treat this like a regular asset. And when we hit our measurable target, I didn't expect for us to just keep going like we've been going. I thought we'd get at least a decent cool down, and all we really got was like this short-term harsh correction, and then we just lifted off like it never even happened. But now, yeah, we've lost the uptrending momentum here on the Bitcoin dominance chart, and we've lost the more broad momentum here, and we're kind of coming up to potentially use it as resistance. So this is kind of warning us that Bitcoin might go range bound at least, and funds could be flowing from Bitcoin into either stable coins or into altcoins. And based on what the other dominance chart is doing, it looks like it's going mostly into Ethereum and mostly into alts rather than stable coins. Because stable coins are actually in a downtrend right now. If I pull up like the total 3, this is kind of giving me the evidence for funds kind of getting into like not just Bitcoin but into Ethereum, and the other dominance is what's reflecting funds going into anything that's not a part of the top 10 ranking in market cap. The last time we were down here, we had an amazing SFP that defined this rally up. Now we've just recently lost momentum, so we'd have to look at the lower time frames because that curvature is really awkward. We got this rounded bottom. We broke our key area of interest at 7.92. This is what defined the moment that we were likely going to have a reversal. We consolidated against the downtrending momentum. It's not the perfect drawing of momentum, but the main thing that we needed to watch is the structure, right? So we broke the structure that we needed to break. Now we need to break this level here. And we're currently having like a sell reaction to this in confluence with this being the top of the demand zone, a point of interest, and the 50 EMA, the 50-day EMA. Or I guess it's the 50 hourly. Let me take a look at that. Let's pull this up. 50 day. Okay, yeah. 50 day EMA. So what we need to have happen for the other dominance to continue its rally up, we need to get back above. Like right now we're having a healthy pullback, but when we get up and we have that break of structure, we need to see this broken and hold above like around 8.11%. So we can get above that 50 and have a higher chance of having a continuation to the upside. And this is going to be a reflection of what's going on with alts. So right now, a majority of alts are hitting a form of resistance right now. And this is one example, Litecoin hitting a form of resistance right here. Let's see what DOT's doing. Oh, it's kind of looking like the same exact structure as the other dominance chart, where DOT, like we're hitting, we broke our key level here, which is an awkward spot already. If you're using the hourly time frame, it's already an awkward spot. But we're looking identical to the other dominance chart, like hitting another key area of interest, got a wick against it, or getting a pullback. So that's kind of what I mean by the other dominance chart. It's a huge reflection of what's likely going on with the other altcoins as well. The structure should look similar to this chart. And if it doesn't look similar to this chart, then that asset either has like extreme relative strength or extreme relative weakness. All right, let's zoom back in on Bitcoin on the 5-minute. Let's see what we have. So we're almost at that value high. This is a supply concern right here. So we should already begin to assume to prepare for shorts here. We got the sell wall still here, likely. Let's see how that's going. Yeah, we still got the sell wall there. The sell wall's a little bit bigger. It's about 100 Bitcoin bigger. So this zone just got a little bit stronger. Some people are waking up, jumping into the charts. Let's see what's in the chat. We got a request to look at syrup. Help me find an entry into syrup. Well, if we come to Canada, man, we got lots of syrup here. Okay, I don't think I have a syrup chart. I don't even know why I'm bothering looking that up. So SYRUP, yeah. All right. Syrup's looking bearish right now. Let's zoom through. I got a fixed range pull here. Let's zoom out. I don't think I've ever done TA on this before, so I want to see what we're looking at. Maple Finance. That's funny. Okay. Always got to have silly names. So I don't know if this is the full price action of this asset. We don't have a little dinosaur over here. You kind of want to look for a little dinosaur on your chart because it defines the origin of the price of the asset. So I'm going to look this up on KuCoin. KuCoin's got a lot more data. No dinosaur, so that tells us that this is still not the full price action. There's a good chance that something called Syrup token is likely a decentralized reward-based token because they seem to name those type of tokens after food, right? We got Sushi Swap as an example, Pancake Swap. Like, it just goes on, Mocha Swap. Like, it goes on forever. It's all about food. I try to understand. But we have try MEXC. MEXC's got a little bit less. The price action's a little bit worse, but let's go to KuCoin and let's use this chart. So right now, Syrup, you're looking for an entry on this thing. Your safest entry was down here, but we got this uptrending momentum. So this is the pace of the buyers. We got some negative space from the momentum. We got evolving momentum here. There we go. Let's zoom in. So it doesn't look like you should be preparing for longs. It is nice seeing a DEX token, actually, probably. I'm assuming it's a DEX token. I'm not actually sure, but if it is one, it's nice seeing one actually be in an uptrend right now. So yeah, we're still maintaining this uptrending momentum. We're at its local value area high, where you should be typically preparing for shorts. We can zoom in on the 15-minute. You can see we're already starting to build like a head and shoulders kind of behavior against the value area high. The VWAP is catching up. It'd be really, really nice if we had the VWAP flush to these bodies so we can use it in confluence for a short and target these lows. But yeah, I don't really like shorting into the VWAP, so I'd rather see this potentially give us a bounce. And maybe we'll have some price action up here to prepare for a change of character currents. Kind of like what happened here, right? We got that pullback, higher high, then broke the low, giving us this as a strong low being broken for a change of character currents for a short. It would have been a really boring, long short for like a day and 3 hours. But yeah, that's what you kind of want to look for. These double top posture type structures at the value area high itself. The further above the value area high, so long as it doesn't deviate too far, I usually recommend 50%. I have a recommendation. If you're going to use a Fibonacci tool to help define the best time to enter, you can use these levels, like the negative 25%, negative 50%. And when we get any further than this, we start seeing this act as resistance and get lower, then you can pretty much count on us like not coming back to that valley area, like usually. If you want to find these settings, just basically here, just you can copy these. You just got to go 0, 0.25, like negative 0.5, 0.5, 1, 1.5, 25, 1.5. And then you just got to go down here and you got to change it to your levels to percentages rather than values. And then you'll have this. And how you use it, there's a few ways to use it, but the main way I use it is from the value area high level to the value area low. So it can tell like how much percentage we have deviated away from the value area. And these levels here, when we tap these, typically we have a higher percentage chance of returning to the value area from these levels. And we look at history here, for example. On the high side, at least, we have some support off the 25% level and low, but lots of resistance here on the 25% level to the high. But yeah, so that's what I'll be waiting for, man. Just that opposing change of character, preferably up here. And trading this internally, you're going to come with the risk of the VWAP slapping you back up. So just be very, very cautious if you decide to jump in on the break of like 3605 is like the key level right now. But we have a little bit of a dip here into a low side of a demand zone, right off alongside the VWAP. So I got a feeling it's going to bounce. Bitcoin is still rotating up to its value area high. So we're getting closer to that sell wall. We're about $470 away. So we'll see if we end up making our way back up there, get rejected off that sell wall, and then get that posing change of character for a short to the value area low. And maybe we maintain this range for a decent period of time. The more we range, the better. It'll allow Bitcoin to reset. If we look at the on-chain data right now, like it's looking like we're finally going to start running up on the relative unrealized profits chart. Let me just refresh this, and I will make it smaller so you guys can see it. There we go. So here we're at 1.39 on the RUP chart for Bitcoin, and that was at the price of 109,000 and 109.7 thousand. So we're not even at the same form of exhaustion that we were when we'd reached the new high of like 109,000 the last time we were here. Let me just pull this up here. So this is showing us that we have evidence that ever since this high, that we have new investors that came in here and old investors came out. I know we went through that evidence yesterday, but now we're seeing that we are only halfway to the amount of exhaustion that happened when we had this rally from here to here. So that tells us that we have lots more room to actually go up before we meet that same level of exhaustion. If I were to make a prediction based on this chart, let's see, that exhaustion wouldn't really occur until we got to about $120,000. So we'll see if we get to like 120, and we'll see if we get to roughly around the like 1.74 level on the RUP chart. Because every time we've got here the last 3 times, we had a very harsh rejection. Like this time right here on my chart was when we hit the previous all-time high for Bitcoin and called that as the top. The period before that, when we had the kind of like the double top kind of structure. Let me zoom out here. Like this is when all the rules were met for calling the top right here. This was the second chance that luckily I got. But yeah, I'm expecting around 120,000 before we get that exhaustion again. But the actual top for Bitcoin doesn't come until we get to like around 2.35. And the supply and the profit and loss right now, it's obviously, it's saying like at 109.7K, we had 100% of the supply and the profit. So anyone who's buying in right now are the only ones that have a chance for the supply to be at a loss. Pretty wild. All right, we're heading up, getting closer to that sell wall. Let's zoom back into the 5-minute. Well, we have the charts, HBAR, XLM, and Ethereum. Okay, let's go to HBAR. We have an HBAR chart already. Last time we looked at it was on May 20th, so a couple days ago. It looks like we were, yeah, so May 20th, around this time, we were actually hoping for an SFP at this value area high. Whenever you see these dotted lines on my chart and the orange solid line right after, like right below it, it's me setting an alarm, like a pre-alarm to a potential SFP kind of thing. And if the body closes below the orange line, that helps validate the SFP. But that never occurred. We never got that. And now we're approaching this previous value area low when HBAR had this head and shoulders pattern. So we can pull a fixed range from the start to the end of the structure, and we can mark that value area low as a key area of interest. So what we want to see happen, like right now, we're kind of like combating this previous form of support as resistance. And for those of you who don't understand why like previous levels usually act as a form of resistance, you should think about like the buyers and the sellers that occurred during that range. A lot of buyers have bought down here, and a lot of them that did not sell are more likely to sell when we reapproach those levels again, to allow them to get out at either a small profit or a break even. A lot of traders trade without a stop loss, unfortunately, so they will be sweating until the price actually gets back to their level, and then they will exit as soon as they break even, so they don't have to go through the stress anymore. But stop losses save you from that, guys. Let's pull this fixed range until we meet the area where we kind of got the break of structure out. So right here. This is going to be important for us for if price action comes back down. We want to mark 19,792. So we're getting squeezed between two value areas right now. What we want to see with HBAR is acceptance into this value area with a break of structure, like a higher high. So we can have that potential rotation up to its value area high again at 21.7. But that POC is going to be really important to watch. It's in confluence with the 15-minute order block. We've got order blocks coming in off this supply concern right here. So that could induce a pullback to retest the value area low, and hopefully we hold it. If we don't, it's really, really common for us to fail to get the higher high and get like a double top and then have that correction back out of the value area. And if that happens, then you want to be watching this low right here. Okay, that's H bar. A key level for a short right now, because we're in an uptrend. There's no real long opportunities right now unless you're getting into like the Fibonacci pulls. Right now, yeah, we got this uptrending momentum. And it is right here on the 15-minute. If we get that higher high, this will become your key level to watch. But that is H bar. It's uptrending to this area of resistance. In situations like this, I like to draw little triangles like this to help me identify areas where I need to pay attention to potential bearish price action. If that occurs, then I'm going to listen to the market and potentially take some profits or even close my position if I'm in one. That's H bar. Bitcoin's getting there slowly, getting above that value high. XLM, was it the next request? Yeah, I think so. Oh, Ethereum was the next request from Ty. So let's pull up Ethereum chart. Let's see if I already have the tab open. I already have the tab open. We don't need to open another tab. Oh, the Ethereum's looking a little bit like H bar. So Ethereum's at its value area high for this range bound structure. We can actually update this fixed range from here to about here when we escaped. Right, when we have a break of structure like this off of your value area high, you don't want to continue your fixed range volume profile pull until you get acceptance back inside the value area. You don't want to keep evolving your value area high as price action tries to escape the value area. You're going to give yourself like false data for preparing for shorts. So this is our new value area high. Let me just resync this. There we go. Our current key level on the 15-minute time frame is actually flush with that. So we look at the market structure here. We came up. We got the change of character occurrence here on the 15. Then we came up, got the break of structure for another change of character. So this is our current strong low right here. If we break this high, this unclaimed high right here, then this will become our current strong low. We have reasoning to come up here based on the pace of the momentum right here. And the fact that we have the VWAP kind of protecting that value area high, we have a decent probability to claim this weak high here. If we do, then this will become our key level to prepare for a potential short. There might be a front run opportunity up here, like a potential SFP. I got this wick level marked here for a potential SFP at 270, yeah, 2739. But yeah, this right here is our current key level. We'll have acceptance in the value area during that break. And they can start targeting these potential lows again at 2473. I don't think we're going to get there, but it's not up to us, right? So if we get that acceptance, just prepare for that potential situation. And the fact that we also have like a relatively strong POC here that could define a reversal off that level too. But yeah, until we get this higher high right here, if we get it, this is our key level. If we get that higher high, then this will become our key level to prepare for a short. Or that's Ethereum. I hope that helps you out. Let's see what we have in the chat. Thoughts on Pulse X and the Richard Hart ecosystem? I don't know much about the Richard Hart ecosystem, but I can look into it. Pulse X, though, I know that's a decent network. And Pulse Chain, yeah. What is the ticker for Pulse X? Well, let's look at it on Pulse Chain here for a second. Oh, we actually have price action. Okay, cool. So we got our little dinosaur here. Nice. Okay. Well, this is the decentralized chart, so we have reasoning for it to be the full price action. You can pull a fixed range from the start of the price action to where we currently are for a macro valley area, because we maintain this range since it's been created. Okay. Let's see, we're seeing how well it listens to market structure. It looks like it does pretty good. So current momentum along the way up. We're getting that potential rotation to its valley area high again. From here to there, that is a 50% move. That's crazy. We're getting lower highs in a macro from here. So this is our downtrending resistance. That's kind of weighing it down. I'll look at the tokenomics for PulseX and see if there's any inflation that could be the result of this descending resistance here, or if it's just sellers getting out. So just watch the order books and see if it's sellers. If it's the inflationary pace, then you gotta rethink holding this long term. You can do short term holds, but yeah. Let's zoom in on the hourly. Oh, we got to change a character occurrence on the hourly already. When we came up here, we created this as a strong low. We broke that strong low, giving us a change of character. We pulled back. Let's see where we go to. 786. So yeah, we pull back to the golden pocket, the 786 zone here, from this high to this low after we got the change of character, which is, it's not insanely common, but it's common enough to make a strategy out of this, right? So if you get the change of character occurrence and you don't like this is a really good tip that helped me a lot. If you do not like your risk to reward ratio and you know it's very likely going to go down, because your stop loss guard's way up here, like using this time frame on this change of character, then you can wait for a potential pullback. So, right, into any zone that's not a part of the invalidation point, which this is the invalidation point right here. And so if you pull a fib from this high to this low, it'll give you a zone of interest that other traders might prepare for either entry or exit on. And we got a double top posture right off of the 786 as our resistance. So this will be a zone where you kind of just limit order in after we've already got the confirmation. Then you put your stop loss guard above the same level that the person with the change of character would have jumped in on. So your money's put more to work jumping in here than it is jumping in here. But since we got that change of character occurrence, where would we be targeting? We have a fixed range from here to here. I drew it to this point because that's when we got the break of structure defining the exit. Eventually, you guys are going to be able to just visualize the valley area data and where the valley area high is, so you can just see where you know you need to stop the pull. So if you jumped in a short around here, you'd have to be cautious around this valley area high, because we could see it act as a form of support again and then maintain this trend to the upside. But if we get acceptance inside the value area, I'd mark that value area high. Then we can get that rotation down to its value area low. The point of control is actually relatively weak. So what that means, a sec here. If you look at your volume nodes, we can see that right here we have a volume spike that's really close to the spike down here at the POC. So it's only going to take probably a couple hours of trading near here to turn this into the POC. So these are both key areas of interest, but because of the balance that we have here, the POC could evolve quickly. So just mark all your key levels that you're worried about in a situation like that if the POC is not going to be evidence enough to like define a potential key area of interest. So I'm going to mark here as a potential POC zone. And you see also the price action kind of respects it as resistance, resistance, support, resistance, support. All right, so that is Pulse X. I hope that helps you, man. But yeah, looking bearish right now. So if you're looking for an entry for like a long, then the hopium would be us to rotate down here, get that opposing change of character, and you can jump in there. The short just occurred. The place you got to watch is here for a continuation or a reversal. But if we get that continuation, you can stay in the short until around here, which is percentage-wise from here to here, it's 3.75%. To here, it's about 11%. Our momentum is right here and starting to fail already. Okay, so let's go back to Bitcoin, see what it's doing with a 5-minute chart. Like zoom in. It's slow climbing. Let's take a look at the order books and see how they're evolving as we get closer to it. Yeah, sub-wall's still there. We have about 274 Bitcoin waiting to be sold at this orange line right here. So we still have evidence of resistance here. And we have evidence of support here in the order books as well. So we can see, yeah, like I said before, it looks like the market makers are kind of trying to compress price into this value area. The longer we're here, the better, right? The healthier it is, the further our targets become extended. But yeah, I think we can go up another $9,000 from this, nearly about $8,000 from this until we get overheated in the RUP chart. Well, not overheated, but to our next key area of interest, like the 1.7 level. Okay. Request on Cubic. Well, that never happens. Did Kyle become so annoyed that he whitelisted Cubic? Or why is this happening? We have a Cubic chart. Last time we looked at it was May 19th. So let's take a peek. What we were looking at before. Well, there's that long here. Then we had our change of character occurrence here to help warn us to get out of our long. So we had, this was our strong low when we got this high, came back, that low was guarded. Another like fib level reaction to this high, and then we broke this low, defining the reversal. We were ultimately targeting here, but yeah, forced out here. We've got price action inside of a new value area. We've got basically, this is just a massive supply risk. So when we get to the top of this, I'm anticipating for a rejection. We have the confluence of this value area low alongside with the highs within this value area. So there's lots of reasoning for a rejection here. This value area low is pretty important. If you zoom out on the daily, we had this range bound price action here. It's kind of awkward zone. It's been a value low for 150 days. We've been struggling to try to get acceptance into that value area ever since we got back up here. So that's what I'll be watching out for, man. Just like the more of a, if you're not in on a long, the only thing you can really prepare for is a potential short or a macro continuation, typically after consolidation. So here's our next key level of concern right here at this active value area high. POC value area low. You can see right now the price action is we broke into the value area here from this low, but we have yet to get that first break of structure to define proper acceptance into it. And we might just be preparing for shorts really soon on cubic. If there's even a perpetual contract to allow you to short. I don't know if they have short contracts, but yeah, that is cubic. I hope that helps you out. I'll be preparing for shorts rather than longs. Unless we position ourselves at the bottom of this value area to prepare for a change of character occurrence, like internally, then we can jump in for that rotation up. But cubic doesn't usually give those kind of opportunities because its moves are pretty big swing. Okay. Good morning, Kyle. Cardano. We can look at Cardano. So Cardano, what are you doing? We looked at Cardano yesterday. I don't even remember what we were looking at for Cardano. Oh, right. Okay. We were preparing for the bearish case scenario. Right? Because we were internally inside of this descending channel. We were watching this momentum. We had a decent bounce off of it here. So if this level broke, we would have that at the time, a change of character occurrence, but that was before like this. Like that's insane. I feel bad for anyone who might have taken that because like right here, I could see like a reasoning for entering actually. So you'd be, where would that hit? That hit, we got front run off these highs. We grabbed the liquidity from these highs. So this was used as exit liquidity around here. We got a dramatic pullback. So you had very little time to react to get out. And this is the 15-minute time frame. But we know that Cardano is kind of a slippery fish. You want to try to get in on its trend because if you don't, it usually maintains its trend for a long period of time. So from like this high to this low right here is 6 days. That's not too bad. But usually it's around like 20 some days where it kind of like maintains its trend-based moves because it's slow to its targets. But we're now back inside of this value area right here. We've got, let's mark our levels here really quick. We got our value area low. I'm gonna do it the faster way this time. Let's see. Control, click, drag. Control, click, drag. There we go. Then all I gotta do is change your template. There we go. Cool. All right, so we got proper acceptance into this value area the moment we got this pullback within the value area and then the higher high. That retest, it defines a potential rotation to its value area high here. We're at the first barrier of concern, this little supply concern here alongside this POC. We just got to watch out for potential reversals here. If we get the higher high and then break this low, we'd have a change of character occurrence that would bring us back likely to this value area low, where we could prepare for potential reversals on longs. The momentum on Cardano is pretty steep. So we get the pace of the buyers are just going crazy. But if we maintain this pace to the value area high, it's suggesting that we would get there in about 8 hours. That sounds familiar. Sounds like another asset that has about 8 hours as well. I think it wasn't H-bar, was it? No. That's 5.5 hours. It does seem like everything's kind of reaching their apex of interest. I think it was maybe Cardano. I mean, Chainlink. Yeah, about 8 hours too on there. But we have to watch everything relative to Bitcoin's positioning, right? We know that there's a sell wall waiting for us up here, so we could get that rejection unless volume were to pick up to break through it. Like it's close to 300 Bitcoin sell wall, so it's not too strong, but it's a lot stronger in low volume. And the volume should be picking up in about 30 minutes or so. Okay, Solana was a request to look at. We have Solana chart open, right? Yeah, right here. Okay. Well, we can update this chart. Let's pull this from here to here. Yeah, last time we looked at Solana was for this long here. We were at the value or low. We got the change of character occurrence. We were hoping for, I think we're just targeting, yeah, it looks like we're just targeting this local high here. We front run a little bit, but yeah, hit the target. I think I just did a limit exit. I remember it being late and not, yeah, just did a limit exit. It was around like 2 a.m. when I got out. But now, yeah, we got this uptrending momentum. Our current key area of interest on the 15 minutes way down here. Breaking that would give us the change of character on the 15-minute and a break of the VWAP and acceptance into the value area very likely shortly afterwards. So, yeah, we mainly just want to make sure we have the VWAP on our back if we're going to be shorting while Bitcoin's being that crazy to the upside. Solana's got some relative, it's got quite a decent amount of Bitcoin pairing liquidity, so it does follow along Bitcoin a little bit. Solana does have relative strength once in a while because its news conduits are extremely strong for inducing volume. But yeah, I'll be waiting for this key level unless we get a higher high. If we get the higher high, then this will be our key level and it'll be flush with the value area high and the PO and the VWAP. So a lot more reasoning to just jump in on this break if we get that higher high first. Because all that liquidity that has been added from the order flow of that higher high, then it gives us more reasoning to use it as sell side liquidity to drive the price down. And that's the kind of stuff that market makers try to induce. They try to add liquidity and key levels that they can use as a tool for their entries or for their exits. We can have a potential SFP here. So I'll mark the bodies at 180.21, or is it a little lower? Yeah, 180.15. And then you can mark the wick right here. So what you want to have happen, if it's going to give us that chance, but what you want to have happen is price action to come up, grab that liquidity, and the same candle that comes up and grabs that liquidity to close back down here for that SFP. And then you can start, your first initial target would be the local low, which would become the strong low after that liquidity gets swept. So during times of SFPs, you got to think kind of the opposite to most traders during that period. Because most traders are going to look at strong lows as capital guards, right, for their stop losses and their liquidation levels. But if you're an SFP trader, you'll look at as the strong low as an area where you're kind of attacking for your trade. And if it breaks, then you stay in for the continuation. Well, that is Solana. I hope that helps. You got 2 levels to watch. You got the SFP level up here, and you've got the change of character level down here. My computer is being a little bit laggy, so it's not letting me. There we go. So your change of character level for a short and SFP level for a short. We're at the value area high, so my bias is pretty short right now. And I'm wearing my green shirt, so it's kind of confusing. Yeah, we're at a value area high right now for Bitcoin, so you're going to have that confluence with Solana. And for me to like want to risk more funds, I typically want to have Bitcoin doing the same kind of thing as the altcoin that I want to trade. Yeah, Bitcoin's kind of losing steam right now. I don't think it's going to be the end. I think we might come back up. But yeah, we got a key level of interest right here. Or we could bounce and then come back up to hit that sell wall. But I think out of all the stuff that we looked at so far, Solana is the more clear picture. So if you're going to, this is the kind of thing that I like to do when if I were trading alone, I'll be looking at multiple assets, and I want to look at the one that's the most picture perfect, the one that is the easiest to trade. You don't want to fight for your money, right? One that has the most confluences, the least amount of barriers towards their target. And that's how you kind of pick your assets. If you're only going to be trading one, and they all kind of move closely together, there's no real point in trying to hedge against it. So just pick one and dedicate your capital to that. Risk lose 1% to try to gain, 2, 3, 4, 5%. All right, so we looked at Solana, we looked at Cardano, we looked at Cubic, we looked at Pulse X, we looked at HBAR, Litecoin. Did we look at XLM? I don't know if we looked at XLM. We have an XLM chart. We don't have an XLM chart. Stellar Lumens. Stellar Lumens is a great asset to move things around with. Especially if you're like a Coinbase user. If you're someone who uses Coinbase for like onboarding or offboarding, hopefully offboarding, just taking out the gains, not putting money in. And Coinbase, doesn't have, most of their networks that they support is Ethereum, so things are pretty expensive to move around. But XLM is one of the ones, part of their listing, that is cheap to move and really, really fast, like similar to Tron. This is the daily. We just broke out of resistance that's been holding it down since 50 cents. We can get rid of this noise. That's not really needed anymore. That's from back here. Should pull a fixed range from here to here. We got accumulation posture. We get that inverse head and shoulders. We broke our neckline. We retested the 50 and the 200 EMA as they just recently crossed right here. So we're getting like a potential rotation back up to its unclaimed high here. All right, so we get another potential break of structure for a continuation. If we look internally on the hourly, oh, it was one of those awkward ones too. Yeah, on the hourly time frame, we've got, this is our change of character occurrence right here. So you would typically, when you have an awkward change of character level, you either rotate to lower time frames to try to find a better entry to front run it, which would have came here when we had this pullback, lower low. We define this as a strong high. They will want to have broken for a change of character. We got the break off the past the VWAP, break structure continuation, and you could still be in this trade if you wanted to be. Right now in the 15-minute, we're kind of like retesting this previous demand zone here. We're holding off of the high with the VWAP, so we got a decent probability for a bounce. But on the macro, yeah, we want to have that full rotation back up to these local highs at 33 cents to get that break of structure, to eventually start taking the liquidity from this local high at 38.38, and then watch out for 41.24 as your next key area of resistance. So mark this level here, strong local resistance, and mark this level here because you want to have acceptance into that value area to rotate further up. But yeah, internally right now, it's kind of like fighting its way, trying to fight its way up to these local highs here. Got very similar conditioning in the lower time frames than we do in the large, like the daily time frame. Right? We have that value area you want to watch, but it's flush with the key area of concern right here. So we only have to mark with the one level. We're tapping it right now as resistance. So we want to hold above that VWAP, stay above this demand zone, and get acceptance to this value area, so we can have that higher probability of rotation to 31.77 and maybe get that continuation up for the daily structure. So that's XLM. Let's go back to Bitcoin. What are we doing here? Are we getting closer? We are. So we got bought up a little bit in the last candle. That's not a hammer, but it's pretty close. A slight doji reaction. But we want to get that higher high. Fight that sell wall. Give us the change of character, and then we can target these lows. Mine's top 10 chart outlook. We already did that, man. We're pretty thorough on that. SUI broke uptrend heading down. AVAX request. Let's look at the SUI because that looks more imminent, so we gotta get there quick. Oh geez. Yeah, okay, we missed that. Man. That's a crazy reaction. So we came back up to this supply concern here, which is very, very close to the technical target of this structural posture right here. We have the falling wedge. You target the top of the falling wedge. And we got into the supply risk. And at that point, you had very little time to react. Let's go to 5 minutes. Oh no, you've been fine, actually, in the 5 minute. Maybe not. It's hard to trust this break when we didn't get the higher high for that to develop a strong low to be broken. We did break the neckline of a double top. And we got that break of structure continuation after retesting the supply risk as resistance. We developed the lower low. It's wild. And now we're back down to our area of confidence to prepare for longs from the last range that we were in. Right, when we were in this range, this is a big key area of interest that slowly became undercut from uptrending buy walls. in the order books, and now we're back down there. Crazy wick price action. So we might start developing a potential reversal here. It might be short-lived reversal. We don't know yet, but we're in an area of confluence to prepare for longs. We just got to wait for the structure. Less intense. But SUI kind of does things on its own. So it doesn't really surprise me that it's having a massive correction while Bitcoin's kind of pumping to its value high. Or failing off its value high right now. Mr. Smith saying SUI has an Oracle bug or hacked, and they're saying it's an Oracle bug in progress. Oh, that sucks. So they're probably attacked by. They probably had so Oracle bugs. This sounds small, but it's a big deal when you have thousands upon thousands of people that look for arbitrage events. So when you have an Oracle bug, it typically means price is one price in one exchange, right? Let's say it's $10 here, and it's like $8 over here on another exchange. So people will buy it like crazy here and then sell it here over and over and over again, and actually can damage the liquidity quite a bit. So then it makes it extremely volatile. So the longer the bug occurs, the worse it can get. So hopefully they can recover from that. Well, it's SUI. They'll recover from that. But that sucks. There used to not be like a tools like Chainlink to give us these oracles to allow price to be more stable. Like you used to be able to get like 25% swings or gaps, between one exchange and the other with Bitcoin. And because of tools like Chainlink, it's become less and less possible. Someone wants me to do gold. It's been a while since I've been asked to look at gold. Can I look at gold? What's the ticker for that? I know it's not actually gold. It's been a while. Yeah, I'll wait until, I'll just Google that really quick. I feel like a noob right now. Gold ticker symbol. XAU, okay. XAU. And you want to look at Odana. Yeah, Odana's the good one. Okay, so zoom out on daily. You can tell it's been a very long time since I looked at gold, since 2024, around September. We lost momentum here last time I looked at it, and we've been holding up the 50 EMA ever since. So gold's doing pretty good. We have on the daily, this is our active strong low. So we're still bullish. This is all internal. We're kind of flagging right now as we speak in a descending channel. We can go into the hourly time frame to dissect that channel a little bit. Oh man, I keep drawing everywhere. There we go. So let's mark this as our daily strong low. And this is our internal kind of like flag posture. Like gold and Bitcoin, in my opinion, are always going to be in like this. If you zoom out enough, it's always going to be in like this forever macro uptrend. When you think about what it's going against, it's always going against an inflationary asset like the US dollar, right? So the more money they print, the higher gold's going to go against it. We had this inverse head and shoulders posture off the 50-day EMA, and we've pretty much already hit its measurable target. You'd be watching the downtrending momentum anyways as a key area of interest that could block that target. So you would have likely, if you're aware of this downtrending resistance, you would have front run that target and you've already been out by now. Looking at the hourly, we have gotten our change of character occurrence. So things are starting to look bearish on the hourly time frame after we broke this low here. We are starting to get a pullback, so we can see where it likely could retrace to, and we are wrapping around a hourly order block on gold. And if we retest this zone and we end up having an opposing change of character internally, I would listen to the market and prepare for a potential short. Just watch that VWAP. It could block it around the 618. We might not get full acceptance into this zone. So you might see a front run to bring it down. And also could hold it up if we end up having like a double top kind of posture here. So you have to watch this to be broken before thinking about shorting it as well. But yeah, lots of bearish confluence right now for gold. We got the internal change of character. We are retapping the downtrending momentum. We are just about hit the exhaustion point for this inverse head and shoulders. And right now we have the bearish confluence of the VWAP being against us. So I would be looking out for, like, the bullish case scenario would be just the break of structure. If we got the break of structure with a higher high, we are breaking this downtrending momentum, and we can start seeing a rotation to start grabbing this liquidity from the upside. And based on this structure, by the way, that's the bias. The bias of the structure is a break to the upside. It has a higher probability of doing that than it is to break down. But it all depends on these flags. Because of how large this one is, it depends on what it is doing. So if we come back down to the low of this flag, then the probability of breaking down further is actually higher, because we would have the 50-day EMA potentially acting as a guard to prevent us from rotating back up. So watch that. If we do come down here, that we might not actually get that full rotation back up to the other side of this descending channel. But yeah, right now looking bearish, at least internally. I hope that helps you out with gold. Let's go back to Bitcoin, see what it's doing. We are we're look at the 5-minute change character. That's gonna be awkward. And what we really want to have is that space between the value area high and the value area low to give us that short. So I'm hoping we get a bounce here, tap that sell wall, and double top off here. Oh, we have a lurker. We need someone to subscribe. Yeah. So we got AVAX as a request with a lot of E's in the please. So I got to do it. AVAX. We looked at this yesterday. We were looking at the awkward hourly change character here that we wanted to have broken. If we broke that hourly and confluence of the break of the downtrending momentum, we'd have a target of way up here, 2650. I'm glad that we just melted right through that local resistance. I didn't take this trade, so I kind of missed out on this one. It's hard to pick your battles when you have so many to choose from in this space. But yeah, AVAX was one of those ones that you wish you chose. It's still doing really well. So congrats to anyone who took that trade. It did like what every other altcoin seemed to have done around the time Bitcoin had that correction from its all-time high, like 109K. Wild pullback. Got that break here for the continuation up. So what we have structurally right now. So we are on the 15-minute. We're still bullish. This is our change of character level right here. We want to have the higher high, so we can rotate this from here to here. Oh, I guess depending on how this behaves, we might be able to rotate it here actually. But for now, we'll look at it as this is our key level. if we break that high. Let's zoom out on the hourly. Where are our barrier concerns? We pretty much broke past our main concern of interest there. We can pull a fixed range from here to the moment we left this valley area around here. We're already between, we're in a valley right now, a previous valley where we had this volume gap. And we are tapping the volume shelf right here. Let me just get this dotted line going on. So right here is a volume shelf. Can you guys see that? You can barely see it. Let's make it white and a little bit thicker so you guys can see it better. So here's our volume shelf, right? So these are forms of resistance too, guys. So you watch these, where these peaks are, and you'll see these valleys, like in a mountain kind of thing. Think of it like dropping a marble, right? You're dropping a marble here. Price action is going to move very quickly, and then it's going to slow down. And so you'll notice that all the price action typically moves quickly in this zone and then slows down when we get at this level, where it can act as a form of support. We can get it act as a form of resistance, right? And we're at that level right now as a form of resistance. So we want to get this is kind of like the final boss before bringing us to the value area high here. And if we get to that value area high, then I would consider it like the target has been hit for this falling wedge. But yeah, congrats on that one. That's good. That's an easy one. Getting in might have been annoying, but yeah, it was a pretty good setup. Bitcoin is starting to bounce again. Let's give us that rotation up here, guys. Daily chart on AVAX. What's your outlook on that? Let's look at the daily structure. I don't know what I just moved. There we go. Oh, previous POC. So daily, looking great, man. So we have this value area low here. Can I just control click, delete some of this noise? You don't need all this noise now. So AVAX is one of those ones that I have been considered as like, not like Cardano, not like Polygon underperforming, but it's been underperforming against its like OG competitors like BNB. We can see that we're breaking this downtrending momentum that's been holding it down since $53. We got the double bottom posture here on the daily. We're in a ever since we broke this level here, we've been bullish. We got the daily change of character currents here. We pull back, create this lower low here. Got an amazing SFP opportunity that honestly would have been the best opportunity for AVAX in a very long time for a long position. And yeah, we're just right now we're internally trying to break this high for a continuation for AVAX. This is the strong low. Unfortunately, it's way down here on the daily. But if we get this break, it'll rotate from here to here. So we're bullish on the daily right now for AVAX. And it's doing really well, performing off of this falling wedge. If we get that full rotation up to its value area high, and we see it act as support, then on the daily, it's just going to look like a break of structure for a continuation. And we've got that uptrending momentum here that we can monitor on the daily. Right? The same reason why I would want to monitor this downtrending momentum for the pace of the sellers, and this one here for the pace of the buyers. We want to monitor this to see the pace of the buyers. See how long it could take us to get to this high again if we were to maintain this momentum. it gives you an idea of how long it could take to get there. It says it's going to take about 3 months, but momentum can evolve and speed up. Let's see what happens. AVAX does have some bullish news. Like it right now, in confluence with all this, it has reasoning to get more market shares from the other network tokens based on I think it's called Black Hole. It has a new release coming out. I need to do more research on that still, but it could be a conduit for spiking and adding more volume into this move. The more you trade, the more you're going to feel like news has zero impact over the charts, because we can detect the trend before the news usually comes out, right? We get the change of character. All of our rules are met for a long, and then the news usually gets slapped onto the candle. And it's like that by design, by the way. So think of it, if you're a market maker and working with a token and you induced a break to the upside as a market maker, then you would say, you tell your team, like, okay, now it's time to release this article or release this news because we broke this area and we want to have retail to drive the price up. So they'll literally pay like 10 grand to a CoinDesk to be able to make millions of dollars on their position. And CoinDesk is like, it's not just one news outlet, it is hundreds in the crypto space. So you can pay 10 grand and then you would have your news article and pretty much every crypto news article. And then that will induce retail to drive the price up towards your target. And then you end up being used as a tool for liquidity for a market maker. Jim Cramer, wait for Cramer. Yeah, Jim Cramer is a good example, actually. Inducing liquidity, always opposing liquidity too, try to get everyone screwed over. I bet he's remarkable at TA and he just knows how to give the opposite advice. Because his, like, if you do the opposite of what he says, your win rate would be like 80%. It's ridiculous. We're almost getting that higher high on Bitcoin. And then we can define this as our strong low on the 5 minute. I'm hoping that we get some more posture up here against the sell wall. Let's take a look and see what that sell wall looks like and see if it's still there. Yeah, it's not really there anymore. Like, we have sellers up until that point, but that wall has kind of been replaced by, looks like a retail step ladder here. We have a tiny, tiny sell wall at 100.6. Yeah, right here. We have a little sell wall right at this high. So we might not get past this if the volume doesn't pick up. It's a tiny sell wall though. It only takes probably like 1 or 2 taps. Like something like that to mitigate the whole wall. Let's look at the liquidation heat map. See what the bias is on the 24-hour. It's bearish. Okay, so we're biased to be bearish in the 24-hour for liquidity. We have $187 million at 108.6. And 108.6 is below the buy wall we saw. So right below this low right here. There's a $186 million in liquidity. So we might be coming after that. Well, we did see the buy wall here that's trying to protect that. So we'll see if we stay range bound here. That little sell wall might be inducing this drop right now. We got our uptrending momentum here. Cool. Do you YouTubers also get paid? Some people do. Yeah, actually. I'll give you a situation where I almost got paid like 10 grand for. I've been asked by Injective to talk about Injective going to $40 or not based on price. Sorry, it was they wanted us to tell it that they're about to go up, basically. And if I really pull up the chart really quick on objective, we did a video, but we just warned people that and YouTubers are about to post because we were given a date, and on that date, a whole bunch of YouTubers were posting at the same time about objective, and so I made a video warning people about it. I didn't accept the payment, obviously. I did the opposite of what they asked. But yeah, here is around this level, I believe. Yeah, $18, where we did a video telling people that other people are about to do videos and that it should skyrocket from this valley area. So just wait for the structural break. And then we went to $40, which was our target, based on what I knew about the how they were doing it. So they wanted you to buy Injective, and then they would match it 1-for-1 for up to $10,000. So I knew that the likelihood of the YouTubers selling on their followers is extremely high as soon as we got to that measurable target. And that's exactly what happened, and we haven't gotten back up ever since. So you might like Injective, but what they were doing in the background was kind of slimy. But right now, Injective looks like it's reversing with inverse head and shoulders. So, but yeah, lots of YouTubers get paid a lot of money for saying a lot of crazy stuff. So make sure you trust the YouTuber that you're watching. Backtest what they say. I just did a video on backtesting. You're subscribing from all the YouTube traders. I unsubscribed to quite a bit too. Like I unsubscribed to when I first started trading. I was following the, I guess you don't want to say degen. You don't want to be rude, but I was following MM Crypto, Carl to the Moon, stuff like that, and they were pushing crazy targets to try to get clicks and stuff like that all the time. And you'll notice as well the scam analysis. The more better you become a trader, the less you're going to watch YouTubers anyways, because you don't want them to influence your mindset of your trade setup unless they have the same kind of confluence-backed rules that you do and they know what they're talking about. If I were to start completely all over again and I were to pick a YouTuber that's like going on today, I would probably be watching usually the smaller YouTubers that aren't really entertainers, but they're good at TA. Like I'm not saying Alex of Crypto is not a good entertainer. Like he's great, he's funny, but he's a smaller YouTuber that I would follow if I were to go back in time. A lot of his rules match mine. He's more of a fib trader than me. But yeah, always backtest what the YouTubers say. Like go through their videos, see how accurate they are, see how quickly they turn against their own word, stuff like that. And then you can find trust in that trader. And you shouldn't be like jumping in on anything that they're saying anyways. Like I'd love to give you guys advice all the time, but you should still do your own due diligence. Like learn from what I say and don't just take action from what I say. But yeah. Altcoin Daily is also one of those. Are they good? Yeah, Altcoin Daily is good. I like Coin Bureau. Coin Bureau is a really good YouTuber I like to follow. If you want to spend 3-4 hours doing research, that's fine. But Coin Bureau is going to cut your research in half because they do a really good, thorough job on explaining their assets and stuff like that. I like Alex of Crypto's levels where he's thinking to enter. Yeah, me too. Like you'd be looking at like these low to high pulls right now in an uptrend. If you look at zones of confluence like this, and you want to have like an opposing change of character, typically on like the 3-minute or higher, to define an entry, and use like confluences like the VWAP, confluences like the Valley area, to help define your entries. Like yeah, Alex of Crypto's got his strategy down pat. I would love to take the course from you. Can you talk about your course a bit? I see there's a monthly payment. The monthly payment covers you're getting signals from me too. Like I'll tell you when I enter. I'll pull this up here for you. Right? I'm usually pretty thorough. Like when I post my signals, I'm saying not just what I'm looking at and why, but I'm also saying the entry conditions I'm looking for here, the target, stop loss location, right? And so I'm pretty thorough with my signals. And we have other traders as well. We've got Brian, who's likely in the chat with us. He's got his own YouTube channel now. We got Tradefly, who's also a great YouTuber. We've got Lucas, who's a range-bound trader. And we got David, who's a swing trader. And we are looking to grow as well. So we got lots of signals. And the courses, let me pull that up for you so you guys can see the inside of it. Since Bitcoin's being a nut job right now. Courses. Okay, we're going over to... It comes with a lot of courses, but the main one that people join is for the 30-day trading course. There we go. All right, I got it pulled up here. So this is the course here. It's kind of broken down into day by day. So you have, it goes extremely beginner friendly at the start, and it slowly evolves to become a little bit more difficult. This course is never going to be done. It's just going to keep constantly improving over time. But we have like over 120 videos, and it's all mapped out day by day. So you're starting at day 1 and you're working your way to day 30. It comes not just with like learning how to trade, but also proven strategies that make money as well. My core strategy is on day 22. It's the strategy that a lot of people love to use to trade ranges. I've got the trend hunter strategy for like more long-term trades, the Bollinger Band strategy for range-bound trading, how to build your own strategy, core indicators. This section is going to keep on growing too. But yeah, understanding tokenomics. Like everything's pretty much in here. And if it's not in here, you ask for it to be in there and it'll be in there. Like how if I don't already know about the subject, I will learn about the subject in great detail and I'll add it in here. But most of this, like I've been trading for a long time, so most of the stuff I've kind of got a good grip over. But yeah, we got lots of stuff in here. But there's other courses as well that comes along with it. And you also get coaching calls every single day. Monday to Friday, there's a coaching call where we're either trade hunting together or we're going through any questions you might have, market structure. When you trade with VWAP, how do you account for the reset? Oh, that's a good question. So when the daily candle closes, there's a reset. That's what you're talking about. So right here, we had a reset. It's at 8 o'clock Eastern right now. So what ends up happening is during that period, it becomes really unreliable at the very beginning because the VWAP is based on the average weighted volume of that day. So it gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger as the day gets closer and closer to ending, right? So when it resets, it's kind of weak and it begins to establish itself usually as like immediate support or immediate resistance. So if we're in let's see, in this scenario here, it will teleport to the active candle. And if it gets above or below it, you got to like kind of think of it like taking everything with a grain of salt because it's really young until we start to establish it as either support or resistance. So you have to start listening mainly just to market structure at the start and just let it kind of like develop itself a little bit over time. And it's usually developing itself during times of low liquidity anyways, where most people aren't really trading. So around 8 o'clock is like around the Tokyo session. We usually have a burst, like a one move direction. Tokyo tends to look at mechanical based data, where they're looking at like how many times on average do we go up on this day? How many times on average do we go down on this day? And if you want to kind of give yourself an edge in understanding that to be a part of your rules, then you just go to coinglass.com/today. And then from here, you can see the average data for how a month, day, week, or quarter performs. So there are literally market makers that will use this as a tool to tell them what their bias should be for that day to increase their win rate. Market makers on average only have like a 60% win rate, guys, but they're trading with like $40 million plus. So here, on like the Tokyo session's really popular for this kind of behavior. We go to the day, and then we'll go to what we're in May now, right? So go to May, and what you want to look for is we're looking at the 22nd. So we can see on average how bullish or bearish a day is. So on the 21st of May, we are typically more bullish than bearish. We only had 4 days or 4 May 21st in history that were bearish. The most of them were bullish. And because of that, the 22nd is relatively balanced between the two. So you'd be kind of unbiased. But the 23rd is coming up, and we can see that we only have 2 days that were actually bearish in history. So think of this like the super micro version of seasonality, right? When you're trying to understand seasonality, where during certain parts of the year where price action usually is bullish, and normally is because of taxes, people getting returns and taxes, then putting that money into the market. Or when we get closer to the end of the year, there are some wash trading going on. There's tons of reasonings for certain periods during the year to pump and dump. And looking at on the daily perspective is like a micro analytical view over that. And some traders will use this as their bias control. So for example, you can set a rule for yourself saying, I will only enter longs or shorts based on the average performance of that day. So for example, May 15th was extremely bearish usually on average. So you could say to yourself, I'm only going to be focusing on shorts today because of this data, or I'm only going to be performing longs today because of this data. Doesn't mean there won't be opposing setups, but this data could increase your win rate even just by a little bit, but it will cut your opportunities. So that's the only if you want to have that as part of your rules. I don't use this as part of my rules, but I just think it's extremely interesting that there are people out there that do this. And it is kind of helpful for understanding. I like to use it in the macro perspective, seeing how average, how certain months perform. For example, October gets its name Uptober because of the fact that it's only ever had like 2 bearish months since Bitcoin's been created and stuff like that. What is going on with Bitcoin? I feel like we're missing out on something. Okay, no. So even though we know it's likely to come down from this value high, I still wouldn't have taken short just because of the fact that the structural positioning, I rather have, a part of my rules is I want to have an opposing change of character at the value high, and we're not really going to get that like on this time frame, not safely. So if we get that full rotation down, I'm going to be waiting for potential longs. Due to the time difference, I hope you can catch the signals and live streams when you are teaching. I can show you guys the schedule. But if you think you're never going to catch the live calls, then I'd recommend just going with the standard plan, because that's what the elite plan's mainly for. Like, you get 2 extra courses for mindset, but you also get access to all these calls. But this is our schedule right now. It hopefully in the very near future it's going to be a lot more busy too. But we get at least 1 to 2 calls per day at different periods during the day. So some of them should be in line with your schedule. All right. What are we missing? It's important to not just blindly enter until you need. So you need your own rules. Yeah, exactly. You need your own rules. Kyle, can you explain the Bitcoin USDT and the Bitcoin Euro chart all-time high? I don't really look at the Euro chart, but I can tell you right away that it is important to know the psychological levels for something like the Euro chart, because there's a lot of trade participants in the Euro space. So one really good example of when I needed to use the Euro chart was when Bitcoin was at around $12,000. I haven't really needed to use it since, but around $12,000. This was when the euro was at a $10,000 mark right here. So we had a lot of psychological resistance on the Euro chart, and it started a correction shortly afterwards. It may have been a coincidence, but a lot of people, including myself, were looking at the Euro chart, preparing for that to act as a form of resistance, and we got that harsh rejection. And it ended up being the inducement for the break of structure support bounce off the macro previous resistance before we had the confirmation of the bull run into the last cycle. So it's important, if you're looking at the Euro chart, just look at the psychological levels, the rounded numbers, like 10,000, 20,000. In this case, look at probably 100,000 based on our current price. The $100,000 level probably has not been tapped yet on the Euro chart. So watch that as a psychological level where we can end up getting resistance. Let's pull it up instead of me just talking about it. So BTC, what is it, Euro? On the coin, let's do Coinbase. Yeah, so we're not at the $10,000 mark yet, but that's likely going to be a psychological key level on the Euro chart that could impact the price action for Bitcoin. So if you were to, you could use this in confluence with your normal chart, unless you're trading with euros, that's different. But if you're using like USD pair, for example, you can use this in confluence to prepare for opposing resistance. And this could be an additional confluence for a short, just like it was when Bitcoin was at around that $10,000 mark for the Euro chart. Where was that? That was last cycle here, right? Okay. Yeah, so here was about same level, around $10,000. And it was extremely helpful at that time, I'll tell you that. It helped with the FOMO. It helped a lot with the FOMO. It's interesting that the Euro chart, however, because of the currency differences, that we're approaching its all-time high. So that's kind of unique. But yeah, 100,000 level, be on the lookout for that on the Euro chart. So it will definitely have an impact over. That's telling us that the euro is getting stronger against the US dollar. And this is literally evidence of that. So okay. Got that wild crunch price action. Gotta love that. We wanted to get up here anyways. So maybe we'll get that rotation up. Give us some proper structure to define a short and target down here. We're at 10 o'clock already. Jeez, okay. Wish you had a 12 p.m. Eastern slot as well. Oh, we got something like that but it's with David, and he's a swing trader and a really good mindset coach. But we can think about adding stuff in around 12 p.m. Eastern. Okay. Yeah, I'll take note of that. But we're planning on bringing in another wave of coaches too. This is on InvestiShare. I haven't seen it. I was talking about the websites and it tells bullish or bearish days. Oh, that website's not InvestiShare. No, that website's on CoinGlass. You're looking at coinglass.com/today. What Movement Juice means when it comes to the schedule, I do have it set up so that when you go to this page, that the time slots are going to show you the time that's available during your time zone. So if you're looking at this, you're like on my chart, it's on my screen, it's showing it like 8:45 a.m. for Monday's call, but in your time zone, it's going to show something else. Because I use timestamp code to show people the time, so it's all in sync with your time zone. Do you have a DJing coach? No. Not really, no. Oh, I'm getting a call from my lawyers right now. No, we don't have a DJing coach. We kind of sort of had one before, but yeah, we don't have a DJing coach, unfortunately. We try to keep everyone's head kind of like level, grounded. Let's see. I think we caught up to everyone's requests, guys. I do got to head out. Is it just the monthly membership options, or can you buy the course? You can buy the course, but if I'm going to be honest with you, if you're going to be doing the course and say it takes you 1 to 2 months, you're only going to need 1 or 2 months of the membership to get access to the course and finish it and then be done with it. And then you can decide to stay for the signals and for the coaching calls after that if you want, or if you'd rather just buy the course, it's up to you. But I'm thinking it's more affordable if you just did the monthly membership instead and rush through the course if you don't want to pay for the course. The course, to buy it, it's like $997. All right, guys, I got to head out. You guys have yourself an amazing day. Glad I was able to answer everyone's questions today. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. if you're able to attend. I'm sorry that we didn't get a trade in. Bitcoin's being a little butthead today. But yeah, we got some stuff to prepare for. Congrats on the AVAX setup. If anyone took that, that looked pretty clean. H-bar is looking like it's about to correct. We're losing momentum. We got like a double top fives. Our change of character is pretty low though. Cubic trying to get acceptance to this valley area. Cardano is losing momentum. Double top fives as well. Our change of character level is pretty low though as well. Sui at this demand zone, preparing for a potential reversal. We got some time to develop some structure to define an entry though. And Bitcoin is rotating. It looks like it's trying to rotate to the upside here where I want to prepare for a short. But if we end up getting that rotation down here at this valley area low, I'll be preparing for longs close to this buy wall at around 110. And maybe get an SFP off these wicks right here. So we can mark these bodies, prepare for a potential wick, liquidity grab for a reversal here too. All right, guys. Can we download the videos? You can. Only some of them are selected to be downloadable. Just to prevent like theft and people republishing our stuff. I know it's not going to be that helpful against someone who will work hard to get it, but yeah, anything to kind of slow down someone who might be trying to resell our stuff. All right, cool guys. You have a great day and thanks for watching.